Good afternoon and welcome to the 55th Annual Earth Day celebration here at the Julian Wrigley Global Futures Laboratory. Not that we exist since 55 years, but Earth Day does, and we will celebrate it today. The annual Earth Day gatherings around the world are more than a tradition. They are a powerful reminder of our shared responsibility to care for the planet, our only home. Today we come together to honor the legacy of a movement that began over half a century ago and reaffirm our shared commitment to a thriving future. Earth Day reminds us that the challenges we face, including, for example, rising temperatures, environmental degradation, water scarcity, biodiversity loss, and societal instability, are complex but extremely urgent and highly interconnected. But besides these challenges, Earth Day also reminds us of the power of collective action. It is a day of hope and momentum. It's a day to reflect on what is possible when scientists, students, educators, policymakers, indigenous people, citizens come together with a shared purpose. It is a celebration of the progress we have made, the lessons we have learned, and the breakthroughs we continue to pursue. During today's event, we will look at how the Julian Wrigley Global Futures Laboratory, our students, faculty, partners, contribute to the issues at the heart of Earth Day. But first, we will hear from those whose future depends on how we address the issues that are placing increasing pressure on our planet's environmental and social systems. And we will discuss the impact of 55 years of Earth Day during our Global Futures conversation. To begin today's celebration, we will hear from a group of our Global Futures impact scholars as they share their reflections on impact, what it means to them, and how they hope to create it in their own lives and communities. Laura McGeary will lead this conversation. She's currently pursuing her Master of Sustainability Solutions degree and serves as a management intern with the College of Global Futures, where she helps guide the Global Futures Impact Scholars Program. Please welcome Laura, who will introduce the members of her panel.
Hi. Well, as Peter mentioned, over the past year, I've been closely working with Dean Sharon Hall and other members of the Student Success team to bring our vision for the Global Futures Impact Scholars to life. It's a great honor to be in conversation today with 3 exceptional impact scholars. And since July, I've been working on building relationships with this inaugural cohort of 20 students who took a unique call to action before they even stepped foot on campus. The program was launched, as Peter mentioned, to recruit, train, and inspire future changemakers through solutions-oriented engagement. We hosted guest lectures. You can see on the screen, we hosted guest lectures, we've taken tours, we've engaged in group projects that have real-life impact, we've cheered each other on, and we've had a lot of fun. After a year of cohort building programming, students have the opportunity to request up to $5,000 of funding to support impactful student experiences. So we're just at the cusp of that happening now. This summer, we will have an impact scholar scuba diving in Bermuda, filming a documentary in Chile, and studying sea level rise adaptation strategies in Vietnam. So you'll hear from these 3 impact scholars today, and they're eager to share their perspectives on impact and their hopes for the futures. There are many more exceptional students that I'd love to introduce to you. Some of them are in the audience, and we hope that you'll walk away feeling inspired and empowered to continue uplifting youth voices and engaging with this program as it continues to grow. So let's meet our impact scholars. So again, all of these students are first-year students. This is Miguel. Miguel grew up just down the road, graduating from McClintock High School and is studying ocean futures. He has been involved in climate leadership roles for several years and remains highly engaged in student-led extracurriculars, as well as getting involved in research opportunities with Professor Neuer's Plankton Lab. This is Cece. Cece Billingsley was her class salutatorian at Florence High School, as well as her school district student of the year, and a future farmer of America. She is studying sustainability, and from my perspective, is a rising star in community engagement. This is Paige Hebert. She's a Barrett Honors student, also studying sustainability, and grew up in Stillwater, Minnesota. She has been actively involved in water, sanitation, and hygiene issues since high school, and she spoke at the U.S. WASH convening in Washington, D.C. last May. Next year, Paige will assume the role of Sustainability Vice Lead for ASU Changemaker. So, welcome. All right, so as Peter already introduced, Earth Day began as a demonstration 55 years ago, and it's also framed as a celebration, and I think there's a lot of different feelings that can come up around Earth Day. So how does Earth Day feel to you right now?
So honestly, Earth Day is a wonderful celebration, but I also see Earth Day as a movement that appeared on campuses in 1970 and is still celebrated to this day, which I think is amazing and beautiful.
Yeah, like Cece said, it's really a call to action. It's not just a day, but it's this time to reflect on what we're doing in our world and how we can continue that since we celebrated since the first Earth Day, too.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting seeing how the perspective and kind of the whole idea of Earth Day has changed over time. I mean, back in the 1970s, I'm sure it was more focused on oil spills and a lot of those environmental effects that were being more highlighted back then. But then, I mean, a few years ago, it was heavily based on microplastics, and that was a big issue. And maybe in the future, it'll be more focused on stuff like superstorms or more future environmental impacts that will be more prevalent.
And even in the future, it might be inspiring to see it more focused on the sustainability successes that we see, rather than all of these climate change impacts that we're facing when we start to implement more solutions.
And in the future, I hope that Earth Day isn't just something that is celebrated on school campuses, but it's something that is celebrated in homes with families, something that is more of a popular, not capitalized holiday, but something that's celebrated at home with our families, where everybody reflects.
Wow, you guys came really prepared. That's awesome. I love all of your answers and the hope for the future that you guys are shaping those things. Is there anything fun that you guys are gonna do today? I mean, this is a big responsibility that you have, but do you have any other plans or other ways you wanna celebrate Earth Day?
I'm gonna go to class.
Okay. I'm curious, the Global Futures Impact Scholars, how has the meaning of making an impact changed for you in the last 9 months?
So for me, coming here, impact was a really broad term. I saw it as like affecting the lives of thousands of people, affecting a community, making a big impact on the world. Now I see impact as more of a small local thing. We can make impacts on people specifically, groups of people, or even on ourselves.
And building on that, I think the other thing that we've really learned throughout this program is that impact also comes from your own personal development too, because all of these experiences that we have shape who we are and who we're becoming for the future, and the impacts that we can then create for that. So it's not only investing directly in those communities, like Cece said, but also investing in yourself for the future impact you can have.
Do you have anything to add, Miguel? No?
No, I think Paige and Cece covered it pretty well.
Great. Yeah, I think it's something that I was learning as we were going through the curriculum of setting up this Impact Scholars program. We had a 1-credit course. Our students met every single Friday together to build the cohort. And it was a turning point for me when Professor Mary Jane Parmentier came into our class, and she led us through a positionality exercise. And I think that helped, hearing the students' reflections on that really helped me take a step back and just understand maybe the pressure that students are under when they come into these degrees to make an impact, and what does $5,000 mean for a student, and so that really was really helpful for me to understand all of how it helped you to understand your positionality and get to know you better too, so I could be a better mentor. Diving in a little bit on each of your unique experiences and perspectives, Cece, we mentioned that you were a future farmer of America, and being from a rural area and having a lot of experience in agriscience, why did you choose sustainability and not agriculture or agriscience?
So, like you said, I was raised in a rural area. The whole side of my dad's family, they're ranchers, and I grew up based in agriculture. But I chose sustainability because I have this deep passion for the earth and its services and how we're all connected. And to me, agriculture only scratched the surface of that. Sustainability and College of Global Futures was my opportunity, my chance to be able to make a real lasting impact. Sorry.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm involved in the Sweetie Center for Sustainable Food Systems, so I hope you'll be getting involved too. Miguel, you're in the inaugural cohort also of the Ocean Futures program. So maybe you can give the audience a taste of what that program looks like for you.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a phenomenal program. Something I really like about it is it's all new, so a lot of the classes are evolving over time. And so especially stuff like student feedback is really helping these professors, because this is the first time they're teaching a class like this, especially to Ocean Futures majors. So I definitely think all the classes are definitely interesting, and they're really unique, I would say. I've only done a few classes, maybe like 9 or 10 at ASU, but I think it's just so interesting to me how these professors are connecting with the students. And there's only a few Ocean Futures majors out there. Hopefully, and I'm sure there'll be more next year, but as it stands, the cohort is pretty small. And so it makes it easier to form connections with professors, and it makes it easier to go to office hours. It makes it easier for these professors to really be able to learn about these students because there's so little of them. And so I think that definitely has really helped me grow and be a better student here at ASU.
Yeah, also maybe something unique about the Ocean Futures is a lot of your classes the professors are zooming in for. So that is probably an interesting experience. You're almost getting like a global perspective just because they're zooming in from Bermuda or Hawaii. And then we also have an exciting opportunity coming up too. Do you want to share a little bit about that to go to Mexico?
Yeah, I think one of the really cool aspects of Ocean Futures is, like Laura was saying, a lot of the professors are from Hawaii or Bermuda, and so they zoom in. And because there's connections with these places, like we have the BIOS facility in Bermuda, then there's fun study abroads. And I know I'm involved in one this upcoming summer. I know a few people who are as well, and I know people who've done programs at BIOS before. And it seems like a phenomenal experience, and one that I am very happy that I go to a school that really offers these types of courses.
And Professor Susanna Neuer is bringing a group of students to Sado Intercultural in Rocky Point, but it's a really incredible center that studies the intersection of coastal areas and desert. And so we're really excited to go experience the low tide. And we're really grateful for everyone at the Global Futures Laboratory that is really thinking of these students and really involving them. Paige, question for you. What advice do you have for students to begin thinking about making an impact?
Yeah, so I would say take risks to try and know that it's okay to fail. And one of the biggest risks that I took this year was presenting a short story I wrote at the Change the World event at ASU. And so it's titled Remember the Rain, about living in a future dictated by extreme water scarcity. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had never done anything like it before, but I still tried and went out there on stage. And with the support of other impact scholars there at the event, I ended up winning grant money to publish this story. And it was because I had the courage to try And a lot of this actually stemmed from the College of Global Futures faculty, because it started out as just a simple honors contract of about 1,000 words, but my professor encouraged me to take it further and expand it. So now today, by the end of the month, it'll be published on Amazon, and the profits generated from this publication will be reinvested into water issues globally with Charity Water, an organization that implements these water projects. So you just never know the ripple effect or impact that you can create as an individual unless you try. So my advice to students is to pursue all of your ideas and chase opportunities. And my advice to faculty is to encourage these endeavors, because I think this is how we can really amplify the impact collectively.
Yeah, that's such an awesome story. And
Thank you.
yeah, there were a bunch of us Impact Scholars there at the Change the World event at the Mountain America Stadium, cheering on our peers. We had multiple Impact Scholars who pitched. And I think that's so great. Like, seeing other students succeed is such a big part of knowing what you can do. And so I love to have the students all together and experiencing that. Cece, I'm curious if you could share your experience in terms of, you have your own opportunities that have come up. Every single one of us have had these opportunities that have come up because of this program and just putting yourself out there that you want to make an impact. So I'd love for you to share.
Yeah, of course, Laura. So as Laura mentioned, we had guest speakers come into our class frequently on Fridays. And in one of these instances, Christine Yo came and talked to us, and she briefly presented this group at ASU that's working on consent-based siting for nuclear waste. And that sounded super interesting to me. So I reached out to Laura, and with her help, I was able to set up a meeting with Nicholas Weller, who administers this program. And now I have a student research position under the School for Innovation and Society, and I have helped bring this program to life a little bit. And it's been an amazing opportunity. I've learned so much. And last semester, they actually offered to create a class for me and one other student who are a part of this program, who are working for Nick's group. And I was able to take a 1-credit course class about the history of nuclear energy, and it has been the most amazing class. I truly couldn't have asked for anything better. And all I did was briefly reach out to Laura. I could have never seen myself ending up where I am now.
Yeah, super cool. I'm excited to see, like I said, rising star in community engagement. So I'm excited to see where all of you go. I want to kind of focus in a little bit about this idea of community, which I think came up when Paige was telling her story, and something that I've been trying to build through the Impact Scholars, and I'm appreciative of everyone coming up and showing up for things, and not just showing up, but really believing in the idea of community. And so, Paige, I'm wondering, kind of just your reflections on that.
Yeah, I think Global Impact Scholars is really a place where we can collectively learn, innovate, and dream together, because we're encouraged to pursue our ideas with support and funding instead of obstacles. And this is huge because it makes Impact Scholars a platform for connection where people are inspired to take action. And I think this not only comes from your mentorship through the program, but also through peers. And so we end up going to these events together, or we've even had lunch together and message each other about events. But this really opened my eyes to the strong network of supporters. And one specific instance for me was when I went to the ASU Water Summit conference. And there I was able to speak with Dave White about a study abroad opportunity because he had done a tour for the Impact Scholars. And now this summer I'll be going to Botswana to study water research in the Okavango Delta with Dave and his team. And I could have never imagined this before, but the Impact Scholars really bridged this gap and forged the connections that allowed me to see these possibilities. But I think more than anything else, it's just the friendships that I've made with students throughout these programs. And it's huge because we're working together as trailblazers in this program and supporting each other's success. So especially coming from out of state, this community uplifting one another has been one of the most influential things in my freshman year.
Can I add something real quick?
Of course.
I just want to say that being with the Impact Scholars has had such a positive impact on me. Being around these people who are putting themselves out there and trying all of these amazing things, it's such an inspiration. And like Miguel goes to every single event. I don't know how he does it.
It's true.
Yeah, and Paige, she's always doing something amazing. And even the Impact Scholars that are here in the audience today, you all really inspire me to put myself out there and to be better and to make an impact.
And it really just builds. Even with Cece's internship, she was able to invite the Impact Scholars, and we were able to sit in at a forum and learn about nuclear energy, which I didn't know much about before either. And so you can just see everything building off of one another through all of these events and experiences together.
Yeah, definitely. I think as like an off-campus student who, I can't go to like dorm events too much. I have a little bit of trouble with, I guess, connecting with a lot of people. I think the Impact Scholars program has been phenomenal with that. I mean, I get lunch with at least one of these two like every few weeks. I see some Impact Scholars in the audience who I volunteered with or who I'm in other like organizations and clubs with. And so it's definitely been like a really good experience being able to meet so many good, like-minded people who also want to change the world.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. And I love how you guys are able to be mentors for each other, too. Miguel, but I was actually going to ask you, I don't know if there's anybody in the audience who hasn't seen Miguel before. I mean, he is highly engaged. And we talked a little bit about that. And, because I would see him at the end, I'm like, is he getting his work done? He is getting his work done, okay? But also I was like, what's going on? So I'm curious if you wanted to just share a little bit about your experience and your style of learning and how that has been for you being at ASU.
I think, like I said, I'm an off-campus student, so I try to do as many student engagement events as I can in order to help build connections and help make and maintain friendships. And so it's definitely, I do have to sacrifice some things here and there to go to a lot of events. However, it's something that I think is very much worth it. And a pretty big thing about the Ocean Futures classes is because a lot of them are online, a lot of them are recorded. And so it makes it way easier to be able to study and keep up with those classes because something that a lot of other professors and classes that I've attended, something that they don't do is, don't record their lectures. So if I have a question, I would have to email them. I would have to go through a whole process. But I think Ocean Futures makes it super easy to be able to understand a lot of these topics and really grasp them so that I'm able to go and do events like this without feeling like I'm falling behind or I don't understand what I'm learning.
Yeah. Also, I think Miguel's been really strategic about how he's gotten involved too. So like he's from the desert, he's studying Ocean Futures, and he joined the sailing team because he was like, that's what's gonna get me to the water, So I love just the innovative thinking of these students as well. I want to open up the conversation to any questions that are in the audience, so be thinking, but I want to ask another question just of all of you. This is a great opportunity to talk about intergenerationality, and so I'm curious, what can people in the audience, we talked a little bit about it with Paige, but what can people in the audience do to support your vision for the future and support our common goals?
There's many things, obviously, but the first thing that comes to my mind is positivity. Especially with sustainability, there's so much pessimism because there's so many things that are happening in the world that aren't positive. There's so many. The reason we're here is to solve issues, right? We want to make a change, there's so many problems that we want to work on, and it can be overwhelming at times. And so when, like Paige said, we're encouraged or there's that positive environment that we're immersed in, it really helps us so much. And it gives us the hope to continue and the hope for that positive future.
I think, and this is going off a little bit of what you said, I think not shifting the blame or not shifting the blame, but not shifting all of the pressure to the younger generation is something that would really help. I know many people who are older than me who when I tell them that I'm in a sustainability-related field or that I'm into ocean conservation, they'll say, wow, like, we really screwed a pooch for you guys. I'm thinking like, okay, you're a millennial talking like you're just about to sign up for the Mirabella down the street. Like, you still have time to actually make an impact, even if it's a small impact. And that's something that I see happen commonly. A lot of people are quick to say, like, okay, this is not our problem, when it's, of course, everyone's problem. So I think definitely trying to take some of that pressure, and while it's important to emphasize, helping the environment, I think also having more of focusing a lot on yourself and what you can do to help the environment is also a good thing.
Yeah, you guys captured it really well. I just think that collective action builds a lot of hope and optimism for the future.
Yeah. Thank you. Great job, you guys. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to open it up to questions. We have a microphone going around. I see Jana's hand is up.
This was awesome. Congratulations to Dean Hall and to Laura and to everyone, Mickey, who's involved in this. And I just am going to leave with such a resounding feeling of the community you built together. And I just want to see more of that around here. So I actually want to ask you, Laura, a question. It seems like you really did something spectacular with this amazing group of students, right? Yeah. And I'm just so incredibly proud to be at this institution with you all, and I can tell that just the three here represent the views of lots of impact scholars, and it's a big group with similar stories. And so, Laura, what did you need to do to build that kind of community? Or maybe the students can tell us what Laura did well that made it so that you were having lunch together, you were going to events with each other, because one of the greatest things about being in the Global Futures Lab is it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of amazing events. And so how did you choose when to show up for each other and how to build that community with each other with Laura, and how did it go?
I can start. I've been really energized to be in this role. It's been a really great professional development and personal development experience for me, and I've had a history of being a mentor, being mentored, and trying to develop that as well. So I took that part of the role very seriously, and it's wonderful to hear and see the mentorship that they bring within their own community too, and that, take some of that pressure off, but I know that I am able to play a part in building that. And so just personally, it's been really incredible. Like I said at the very beginning, I met with each student in July. I had like a 30 to 45 minute phone conversation with all of them because, especially in the first year, I really wanted to understand where the students' heads were at and what they were hoping for and what they were nervous about just for college in general. And so, I have a market research background, and so all of that was like, I need to do the market research. And so I think that was really helpful for me to I know each of the students really well, I think. And then my other approach was bringing in professors. And I met with the professors for 15 minutes before class, and I talked to them, here's who the students are, here's some of the topics they're interested that connect. And so I try to really build the scaffolding in the background so that the things could just come to life almost as naturally as possible, right? And so I think, just having the professors come in and it's like, hey, I'm a person, I'm just coming in for an hour to just talk about my professional journey and opportunities and really impart on you the study abroad and the office hours and all of that. Like, I think it was a really, really just great experience for them to hear those things really firsthand and with each other in that state. Did you guys have anything to add? I kind of went on, but.
I just want to say that, as you can tell, Laura is very enthusiastic. And the energy that she brings to every class, every time we see her, it's just incredible. And every time we had a meeting, she would start off with a list of events or activities going on or things we should get involved in, and that was very helpful too, because sometimes the emails can get overwhelming. Like you said, there's just so many things going on all the time, and because she took time to get to know us, she specifically highlighted things that she thought certain students would be interested in. And so she'd say, Miguel, there's this Ocean Futures thing that's going on. It's amazing. You should definitely go. And I feel like that really helped us a lot.
Yeah, I agree. You can just really see the effort that you put into this community building, even from the very first day when we all walked in together. I don't know if you remember, but we wrote down on a piece of paper a bunch of things about ourselves, and then we each got to share and spend pretty much the whole class period just talking with each other. So it was not only getting to know you and you getting to know us, but also getting to know each other from the first day. And so I think you also just kept reaching out and kept that communication between everyone really strong throughout the program.
I made a little open invitation, like you introduced yourself and you had an open invitation. And so I think Paige, her open invitation was gelato at Barrett. And then Miguel went and got gelato at Barrett with Paige. So that was a little strategy that I used to connect the students together. Yeah. Other questions?
Hello. I was wondering if you could give some ideas about how to get not only more sustainability students, but students from all the other schools out to sustainability events, and how can you get them to take positive action, even to recycle properly? It only 6 inches between the landfill and the recycle, and the students don't even seem to make that effort.
It's actually kind of funny. At the beginning of the year, Paige came to me with this idea of us participating in an event where we created a product that would get funding and we could go speak about this product. And the first issue that we brought up was recycling when we were brainstorming, because a lot of people, you're right, a lot of people don't make that effort. And one of the main issues that we thought of was that sometimes it's unclear what should be recycled and what should be thrown away. Even with the labels on the box, sometimes you look at an item and you're like, where does this fall? And I feel like that can be a big issue. Some of it is that people don't care, but I feel like a lot of people do care. We don't realize how many people do care. Some people are just afraid or unsure. And so if we make things more clear, I feel like that would be a big help.
And I think it's also really exciting because I think education is one of the ways we can get people to care. And with the new ASU requirements for sustainability, this is one of the ways we can start getting people to understand these issues and maybe come to more events. If you think about something and how it affects you in your life, then you're going to be more apt to come to these events and learn more about recycling. And so I think that's a good step in the right direction and should be continued to get more people at these events too.
Yeah, I mean, education does play like a massive role in this, like you guys are saying. I mean, I didn't really learn about sustainability or any sustainability initiatives until I was maybe a junior in high school, maybe sophomore. And I think there's a very much massive lack of more, I guess, early childhood education on sustainability, or even up to high school education. I mean, even I went to Tempe Union High School District over here, and one of the most interesting things about it to me was that I had one class, maybe there was a second class that I vaguely remember hearing about, but that was AP Environmental Science, and a lot of it was sustainability. But then outside of that class, if you don't want to take something like a AP course, then you're really not learning anything about sustainability whatsoever. Maybe you'll hear snippets of it, but there's just a lack of education, I guess, especially with the younger generation on sustainability. And until we kind of fix that, then it's going to be hard to constantly motivate people to get into more sustainability initiatives.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Miguel, because that's a huge part of what you're passionate about too, and many of our students are passionate about education. I'm excited to see what these students do too as leaders. As we continue developing the program, we're going to have multiple cohorts, and they can lead the next cohort, and maybe we we go out and we bring a buddy who's not from the College of Global Futures to an event, that sort of thing. So there's many ideas to come. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Petra Fromm, and I'm professor in the School of Molecular Sciences. And I think this Global Future Impact Scholar program is really awesome. I really like it. But my question is, it's at the moment limited to students with BAs and BS at the School of Sustainability. So would it be possible to extend it in the future to allow also students enrolled in life science, or students enrolled in physics, or students enrolled in School of Molecular Sciences and other programs to essentially participate? Because, there is a lot of exciting, and also the faculty participate, because there are a lot of exciting research going on, all the way from studying desert plants to studying coral reefs and so on in other schools. So are you planning to extend the program to also allow students in other majors to enroll in the program?
Thank you. I really appreciate that question. I think there's so much going on at ASU too, right? So when I was trying to learn about how to set up this program, I went out to other programs that are across the university. We have Changemaker, that's open to everybody. And so I think the more and more we can connect these different programs together, that's only gonna help expand the opportunities. And so we'll see. There's so many ways that we can expand just the impact scholars within the College of Global Futures, and then see how it can grow from there on. Thank you. Yeah, Melissa.
Yes, hi. Thank you for an inspiring panel and your vision and positive impact. And I want you to think it's 2055, Earth Day, and you're all coming back for a reunion here at GFL at ASU. And you're looking back at a 30-year career in ocean futures and the future of food and community resilience. And you're looking back, and what are you most proud of? What are some of the goals that you accomplished and that you're just so proud of accomplishing in these next 30 years? And don't think too much about it. Go from your gut.
That's a big question.
They were afraid of, what are you going to do with your funding, let alone this?
I think a big thing that's important to me is, again, the education. I would love to see education in primary schools for sustainability, sort of building that future generation that also is very passionate about sustainability. Sort of everybody taking responsibility, working together as a community to sort of bring this change. It's not going to be something that one individual can do. It's not going to be something that a small group of people can do. It's something that a change we have to make collectively as a society. And so I think in 30 years, I would like to have us come here today and say, guys, we did it. We came together. We finally worked on something positive together, and we made a real change.
That was really good. It's hard to follow up on that. I was thinking more specifically, my interests lie in water issues. And so one of the biggest things that I am always thinking about is the water access gap, even just in the US. So over 2 million people don't have access to clean water and health sanitation. And so when I'm thinking about 30 years in the future, what does that look like? Does that mean that gap is closed and people all have access to clean water, especially in Arizona where we're a desert without a lot of water resources? I'm excited to see what solutions we can come to collectively moving forward and come back as a community and see where growth has taken place, especially in the water area.
I would love to see ocean conservation and more ocean education grow here in Arizona. It's so easy to ignore the ocean here. I think I've been asked way too many times, so you're studying ocean in the desert? Yeah, I am, but I think it's easy to ignore problems that, like the ocean, that seem so strange to us, so new to us. Especially people who grew up here in Arizona. And so I would love to see there being a bigger interest in the ocean here. We get our monsoon seasons from the Gulf. a lot of our weather is heavily dependent on the ocean, not heavily dependent, pretty much dependent as a whole on the ocean. But I think living here these past 19, almost 20 years, I've seen that there's not really too many people interested in the oceans.
I agree with Miguel, and I kind of want to build off of that a little bit. I think that as humans, sometimes we tend to separate ourselves from things that we don't see, and in a continually newly urbanized world, we sort of separate ourselves from nature. And I think it's really important that we slowly re-immerse ourselves in nature because we are connected to it. We are deeply rooted and connected to our environment and to this earth. And I think it's important, like Miguel was saying with the ocean, that we think about how all of these systems are interconnected and how we are connected to them. We are not a separate entity from nature. We are, like I said, highly immersed in it.
And I think that's what Earth Day is all about, reconnecting with the nature, because we can't begin to solve a problem when we are ignorant of it and we don't know nature and the world around us. So I think that's a really good point you brought up.
Great job, y'all. Do we have a question?
Yes. Hi, I'm Kate Howells, proud elder millennial, not at Mirabella yet, but we work in strategic marketing communications, quite a few of us here, and I'm curious to hear from you kind of what was a moment or a magic moment for you that sparked your interest in this. I think, Miguel, you talked about how it was maybe in high school that you had your first class, but as we think about how we're going to bring more students in, because that's really important for us, is building this community, how we actually reach them is something we talk about all the time. And so where they're getting, news and information and who people listen to when they're in elementary school, high school, et cetera, that influence them. Just curious, and it doesn't have to be the aha moment, but times when you've really felt inspired, earlier on that brought you into this field.
So the actual way that I found out about the sustainability program here, I had no idea all throughout high school what I wanted to major in, and so I was frantically senior year searching, trying to figure out where I wanted to go to school, what I wanted to study, and I was watching every single crash course video on majors, and I watched the crash course video on School of Sustainability, and it blew my mind. Once I watched that video, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life, because I had realized all of the connections, all of the passions in my life, everything that had to do with what this 10-minute YouTube video had just talked about. And that's why I'm here today.
My experience was a little bit different because I had always kind of known that I wanted to go more into the sustainability tract, especially coming from Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes where water was everywhere. And then I decided to move to the desert because there are definitely issues to be solved here. And so I saw it more as all the opportunity. When I learned about the College of Global Futures and sustainability, all of the opportunities that came with it were something you can't get anywhere else at any school. And that was really highlighted to me through the websites and the programs, and even talking to people like Laura before coming to ASU, and just knowing that this could be the place where I can make an impact in sustainability.
I grew up here, like I said, the past 19, almost 20 years, and and I'm not going to use hate because it's a strong word. I mildly dislike Arizona. I don't like the heat. I don't like the desert. I don't like the rocks. And so I think
dislike. Okay.
I don't really like it here. And so I viewed Ocean Futures as a way to broaden my horizon. I mean, I knew very little about the ocean coming into this program, and to me, it was like an alien world. And so I think definitely leaning more into that aspect, leaning more towards, a lot of students who are in a lot of these local high school districts, for example, they were probably born here, or they spent most of their life at least in the desert. And something that really interested me in this program, and it's something that I see a lot of marketing towards. There's a program that focuses on the Twilight Zone, and their big, grabber is that it's like an alien world down there. There's a lot of stuff that's really cool and sick that you wouldn't see otherwise. And so I think definitely the idea that A, it's not Arizona and it's not the desert, but B, that it's something that is completely new to me was something that really grasped my interest and got me excited to be in this program.
Raise the intrigue. Do we have time for one last question? Great.
Hello, my name is Ghazi. I am a student of sustainability as well. And I know Cece, she is my classmate in one of the classes. So I do have a question because I grew up in the desert. I came 16 hours away. And so how do you think is important to, I forgot what I'm going to say, but how do you feel about, changing the way the desert looks like instead of having it all like sand, just having it green, for example? How do you think about it?
I don't think we should necessarily change the desert. I feel like the main issue Arizona has right now is we've tried to change the desert. We grow really water-intensive plants here. We have a lot of huge golf courses, and I feel like that's part of the problem. I think we should embrace the desert. I mean, I know Miguel hates it. Maybe he should move to some island, study the ocean, live on a boat. But I think we should embrace the desert, and I think taking inspiration from the indigenous peoples of this area and how they change their practices to work with the environment here, I feel like that's very important.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people love the desert, and I definitely think it's something that needs to be kept. I mean, I think one of the greatest things about being here in the United States is that if you go, I don't know, that direction maybe, then you'll end up in San Diego. You'll end up at the ocean. But then if you go a little bit north, you'll end up in more woods areas. There's a massive diversity of environment here, and I mean, that includes the desert. And while I personally don't like the desert that way, I definitely think that it's something that needs to be here. And plus, I mean, like, there's a lot of cool wildlife and a lot of cool plants that thrive here. So changing it wouldn't, I would say, be the greatest.
Focus on adaptation strategies for future schools.
I was just going to say, it was here long before we were. And so I think, like Cece said, embrace it instead of trying to change it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Great job.
All right, we're going to take a very quick break so we can do a little bit of reset. We can dip Miguel into the canal and he can get reabsorbed into water. And we will be starting right back in 10 minutes. So if everybody could return, grab a pal while you're outside, bring him in. The next segment's going to be really great. Thanks. If you're looking for restrooms, they're in the main lobby or across the bridge to the canal.